Hi guys, it's Nicole and I'm back with another layout from the Super Savers portion of the January 2015 Super Sketch Club kit from Scrapbook Generation. I believe this was the first page that I had actually done after I cut up my papers. For whatever reason, I ended up editing my videos a little bit out of order. So here I'm just flipping through the pattern papers that came with the Super Savers portion of the kit. And over on the left you can see where I've printed out the sample layouts off of their blog. And I'm just going through, following the instructions and trimming down my papers according to the cutting guide. And then sometimes there's a couple extra cutting instructions per sketch, which is also included in the instructions. And then as I'm sort of cutting the papers apart, I'm just kind of double checking everything against those color pictures, just for my peace of mind to make sure that I'm getting sort of everything cut correctly and separated into the different pages. And then I'm also sort of keeping the branding strips out of my trash can at this point, because I tend to run into the issue of, as I'm putting the kits together, I'll see that small notation of, you know, hey, we cut this banner out of the little tiny piece of pattern paper that was on the branding strip. And I always have to go digging through my trash can, or, you know, I kind of like, oh no, did I mess up the instructions? And I'm one of those people that if you give me a set of instructions, I feel like I have to follow it to a T, other than maybe adding some extra embellishments at the end. So I've gotten into this habit of, as I'm cutting my papers, I will sort of keep the branding strips and any extra pieces of paper that hasn't already been sort of allocated for one of the layouts. I'll keep that all together in a separate pile, and if I feel like I want to pull from it, or I need to grab the branding strips, or sometimes you'll have like an extra cut apart card that tends to work out really well for maybe computer generated journaling, or if you want to fussy cut, you know, a couple extra elements, or you want to switch out one card for a different one. I want to say on a previous kit there was a card that had maybe a phrase that didn't really work out for my personal layout, so I ended up just switching the cards, and I was able to do it because I had kept those extra pieces. So again, here I'm just taking, you know, 2 sheets of the cardstock that came in the kit, matching up all the pattern papers that go with, you know, layout 1, layout 2, layout 3, and then in this case I already have my photos printed, so I'm just making sure that I have everything together and I'm ready to go when I want to come back and finish the other layouts from this kit. And so I'm just pulling my photos, and these were from Valentine's Day of this year, so I just took a couple pictures of my munchkins opening their little gift bags. And then these 2 small photos are not shown on the sketch. These are 2 that I knew I wanted to include. When I sat down and was looking at my photos, I kind of knew, okay, I don't really want to crop these ones down too small. I wanted to keep them bigger, but I still wanted to include photos of just the things that I had put in their bag, because a lot of times, for whatever reason, months down the road, my little guy will ask me, you know, who bought me this? What holiday was it from? And for some reason, if I have taken a picture of something and I've seen that picture later on, it kind of helps me remember. Plus, I kind of like the idea of being able to look back, and maybe next year I'll know, okay, usually I get them a book, I get them a stuffed animal, and I get them this and this and this. So I kind of know, do I want to keep getting them the same things every year, or do I want to switch it up? And so here I'm just going through and putting down the pattern papers and the photos. And as I'm putting things down, I'm kind of leaving that little tiny gap between the photos and the pattern papers. And I'm going to use the little 1/4-inch strip to sort of hide that gutter. And basically I've noticed I either just don't do as well of a job as I would like cutting papers and photos, and a lot of times when you're doing these collages and sort of blocked type sketches, it really bothers me when the papers and the photos don't line up. So I've kind of gotten into this habit of I'll make sure that the outer edges of everything line up, and then I'll leave that little gutter, and there's almost always these little 1/4 inch strips that just kind of help add, you know, another pop of a pattern or a pop of a color, but I'm also using it to sort of hide any issues where things don't line up. So now I have started grabbing those 3x4 cards and the different bits and pieces that were cut out from the pattern papers, and I'm using my sketch and the color sample to determine which stickers from the sticker sheet go over here on this left page cluster. And again, I'm just going off of the instructions as far as which elements get popped and which ones are flat to the page. And so now I've grabbed the cardstock for the right page, and I'm using the left to sort of line up the different pieces. And again, I'm going to go ahead and attach my photos, but instead of butting them up directly against that pattern paper, I'm going to go ahead and leave that gutter again, just to kind of hide any sort of issues with things not necessarily lining up. And then any of that adhesive that is sort of, you know, wider than the piece of paper, I just kind of take my finger and sort of roll it underneath. And then this was from the cut apart sheet, and the instructions just said, you know, you needed to trim it down a little bit, grab a small corner punch, and just do rounded corners on both pieces here, just to kind of make a title piece or a focal point. And I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of those so that they match the pattern papers. And then I'm kind of trying, since I'm kind of going away from the sample a little bit as far as adding these extra pictures, before I started putting down this big piece, I was trying to make sure I had enough room. And like I was saying before, here is an example of using those extra little patterns that are on the branding strips. This little banner piece that goes underneath the cluster was from one of the branding strips, so I had to go grab that and just trim it out real quick. And then this blue, I believe, was from the border cut apart pattern. And again, I'm just sort of trimming those into the banners, and the instructions had the length, you know, how long they needed to be. So I'm just going ahead and trimming those out, inking them up as well, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach them. And because they're going to go across the center of the two pages, I'm just putting adhesive down, trimming it off, and then I'll go ahead and line them up just like the background papers. And then again, I'm just grabbing the stickers that go over on this right page cluster, adding some foam adhesive to this little doily sticker. And then I was kind of having issues with just how big this title block was, and for the way my photo was oriented, I was having issues with it sort of covering up my daughter's arm, but I quickly kind of got over it. It was just one of those things, you know, I tried to shift that sticker over as far as I could, and then I was just trying to basically avoid any kind of awkward gaps between that sticker and the Love You Always piece. Grabbing a couple more stickers off of the sticker sheet, and then I did not have a chance to record adding the journaling and the last extra photo. They were just 2x2 photos. One of them I remembered to cut with a white border, and this one I had I had messed up when I was cutting it, so I just grabbed some white cardstock that was left over from my journaling strips and just matted it on some white cardstock. So as always, thanks for watching.